What is up? Let's see here. As you pop in, go ahead and say hello. And I'm gonna get rolling. I'll let a few folks get in here. Thanks for jumping on. What's up? All right. Alvin, what's going on, man? Where are you located? Andrew. Perfect, man. Perfect. We'll get you through this cardio. How long are you gonna go for? All right, so a few things to catch up on, and I'll talk about some of the latest that I've been up to. But a big part of me doing these is answering y'all's questions on deals, on investing, on any of that. Really great live last time, so I knew I wanted to make some time and was chilling out. Going to the pool later. It's like, you know what? Let's get a live in before. So right now in Buenos Aires, checking out, just kind of getting a feel for the city, getting a feel for some of the deals. Got a couple meetings with some M&A people. It is really interesting. I think there are a lot of opportunities here. And the economy is in shambles. But I have been to some centro comerciales, which is like basically malls and restaurants, and like every single time, like going to the mall in the middle of the day on a Wednesday and it's packed. Going to restaurants and it's packed. So obviously there's money being spent here, there's money being made here. So even though the economy is having some issues, there's a lot of opportunity, I think. So that's kind of, there are a few things. I got a few people that reached out. They liked the bucket analogy on that last video, and just getting money to work and getting money diversified. I think is the biggest thing behind that. I remember for me, I guess this whole journey of learning about all this stuff started when I raised my hand at 9 years old, and fifth grader, and I was a pretty bad kid. I was considered bad, but it was just I wasn't able to learn the things that I felt like were important. And it's I think one of the questions I asked, like, so at what point do we learn about money? And it wasn't being a smartass. It was just literally coming from a place of, dude, like, all of this is cool, but like my family's poor. Like, I don't want to be poor. Like, where do I sign up to learn about how this whole money thing works? Because obviously that's the education I need right now. Like, I don't need to learn all of this other stuff, memorizing the names of bones and all of that. Like, I can learn that later. I can figure that out later. But can we learn a little bit about money? Because that's the thing that I need right now. It's funny to me when I look at a lot of the posts, and even here in Argentina, like there's a big focus on like the government, like what president should we put in office? And they just got a new president in December. And, everybody looks to that savior. This person cares about me. This person's going to come in and change things. And it never does. It's interesting, like seeing the posts online. It's kind of like that boyfriend that is the girlfriend has moved on and like doesn't care about him, but he's still passionately posting about just relationship stuff. It's like, dude, like, you gotta move. It's obvious that this is coming from a place and you gotta move on. And I think that a lot of people's relationship with parties and governments, like, it's time to move on. Like, these people do not have your back. It's time to get passionate about something else. So I think taking that and, trying to build your own path is the key there. So for me, talking even just like, it's funny because it made me think of the two things that I got in, I guess, a lot of trouble for. The other one was even, when we would learn things and I'm like, who came up with this? Like, who's the person that came up with this? So like one of the things was memorizing the bones. And my whole thing was, okay, like if a dude came up with this, then I can just come up with names. Like, who's that person to say that's the actual name? It's like, unless you got it from God, then this is all just made up fairy tale stuff. So I refused to learn things that I didn't feel like came from God. It was a pain for my teachers back in the day. But all that to say is that, even today, I think that's a lot of the opportunity that exists. I think that, when we look at countries, when we look at money, when we look at dollars, like all of this stuff is just like made up stuff. And I think it's because of the fact that we're born into it that we just think, oh, like this is a thing. And, the US dollar is a thing and it's something that's real. It's like, no, it's an imaginary concept that some people came up with. It used to be backed by gold. But, once it went fiat, and not attached to gold, it kind of went on a path that every fiat currency goes to zero at some point. But I think that kind of attachment, when you've got that view of like, okay, this has always been here, and not just like Apple or like a company like Microsoft. It's like, no, this was started and there are some awesome things about it, but all of this goes away at some point. And so one of the things that really interests me in Argentina was seeing that and being in a position to invest in a place that's on the opposite end. I mean, for a while, Argentina was like on an economic tear. It was the darling. Everybody felt like, oh man, it's growing so much. And in the US, we talk a lot about the biggest opportunities. Warren Buffett talks a lot about the fact that the biggest opportunities are in the recessions, in the depressions, and that kind of thing. So it's interesting to me that when you look at the world, it's like at any given point, there are countries that are at different points in the economic cycle. And what that gives us an opportunity to do is to find the countries that are in the right economic cycle to be able to take advantage of investing, not when it's at the top or when it's at the bottom, when it's at that point of coming back. So that is kind of the vision when I'm going to these other countries and looking at opportunities, looking at businesses. And it's like I mentioned on a previous video, I benefited greatly when I had offline businesses in Chattanooga, because Chattanooga was on this massive economic growth tear. I mean, it just has been really unreal. And so, if you're in a city and then that city's growing, and I also talked about the fact that it's interesting for the US to say, oh, we're trying to slow down immigration, when a big part of your growth is bringing more people in. So it's a very interesting thing. It's basically like the company, a good business saying, okay, we're going to slow down on this whole customer thing. We want fewer customers coming in to buy from us. So it's been very interesting. I think there's like every country, there's just a lot of opportunities all over. And for me, my goal is diversification, and it's also putting money to work. All right, let's see. What questions? Let me know if you guys have any questions. Pop in. Thanks for the likes. Give a thumbs up. So thinking about investing, I was having a conversation with a buddy of mine. I've actually got one friend that's here in Argentina, or from Argentina, who's done some deals. Actually, has done some stuff in the U.S. as well. But one of the funny things to me is when you look at the people that are saving over a long period of time, and you're in a situation where you're trying to put money away or put money away for a rainy day, and hoping that at some point, you're going to invest that. For the average person, they don't invest because they don't really know what to do with it. But I do liken that to having a tool and not using it. So let's say, if I gave you $10 million today, and I I gave you 10 million. I mean, at the end of the day, you would feel very rich. Like, man, you can go to the bank, you see that the bank account's got $10 million on it. They'll bring out the money, and it's like you can see it all in cash. You can even Scrooge McDuck and jump into it if you want to. But the other crazy part of that is, what if I told you that you couldn't use that money? Like, it's like, nope, it's going to stay here, but you can't use that money. Well, then all of a sudden, you're not going to feel rich. You're not going to feel like it's anything, because every time you go to the bank, you can see it, you can but you can't use it. And I think that that example, that illustration is what shows that, like, money in and of itself literally is just nothing. It's not like I'm saying, oh, here's this big house that you can live in. Even if you can't sell it, like, you've got this big house. Money in and of itself just has no value. There's nothing that it can do for you unless you can use it. And so that means that money is just a tool. It's only a tool. It's only valuable. The things in your life that are valuable are the things that you can actually use. So if it's only valuable when you can use it, that makes it the definition of a tool. And what a lot of people are doing is they're putting all their tools in a tool shed, and it's like walking up to a buddy and he's building a house, and he's got the wood and everything there, and you're like, man, like, I came to check on you, see how the house is coming. And you see him with a 2x4 and he's trying to break it. He's like, man, I got to get this 2x4 to this size so I can put it here. And he's trying to break it with his bare hands. And you're like, dude, you got all those tools in the tool shed. Take the chainsaw out, and it's gonna be a lot easier to cut it. And he's like, nah, those tools in the tool shed, I'm saving those for a rainy day. I don't want to use those, man. That's my rainy day tools. That's my rainy day tool fund. So I'm gonna pull those out when I have to. But for right now, I'm gonna figure out how I can do this just with my hands, so I can save up all my tools. And there's a lot of things that are behind that, but literally, like, that's kind of what we're taught. It's like, well, dude, like, don't save your tools for a rainy day. Save them for sunny day, rainy day, whenever you need to use them. And that's going to help you build this house a lot quicker. And that's what you want. You want to go into the tool shed and see it rested, and like the stuff being really, really well used. Right now, people don't use their money. People don't use their money as a tool that it is, because they don't know how to. Like, we're not taught that. So when I go back and I talk about, investing, or, being that annoying 10-year-old kid, it's like, dude, when am I going to learn about money? Like, I need to learn about money. Like that's what we should have been learning. That's what we should have been being taught is, some of the focus is just like even beyond earning money. It's not just about earning money. It's about how does money work? How do I get this money to work for me? Because like I said, if your whole focus is oh, I'm going to school and I'm going to earn money. You're just learning how to be a tool to get more tools. And so now you're a tool, you know how to get more tools, but why? Why are you that's the craziest thing ever. Like, you don't know how to use the tools that you're getting and to maximize them. And so that goes back to that bucket example of, I think that skill set is way more important, way more valuable than earning money. Because if you're the person that has the leaky bucket that I talked about in the other video, it has holes in it where the hole is inflation, lack of investing, lack of really high, great returns, losing in the wrong, all of those things are holes in the bucket. And so people are focused on trying to go to school, to get picked for a job, to earn money, to put in a bucket that isn't even a fortified bucket. And my goal for clients is really not even just to have a actual bucket without holes, which is what most people have. So it's almost like, that tool shed, like there's a back door and there's somebody that's just coming in and stealing out the tools as you're trying to save them up. So you're putting tools in there, you're not using the tools, somebody else is getting the tools. And literally, a tool's going to rust on its own. And that's what happens with most people's savings. And so we have these economic ups and downs and inflation, and you're being told, oh, just save. And the biggest downside to all of this, and it's a little bit of the funny reason when I read people that are super passionate about politics and that kind of thing, and it's like, dude, if these people cared anything about you, like, you're putting all this energy and focus into this, and if these people cared even an inkling about you, they would teach you about money. They would teach you about investing. They would teach you how to earn money and invest money. It's like, so why would you put any energy into, the reason you love your parents, the reason you care about family is like, man, like they have your best interest at heart. So why would you put focus on a government or care about them, or, just like that has proven that they don't have your best interest at heart. But what it does allow them to do is, you go through school, you go through college, you get to the end, and they can cherry pick the most talented people, say, oh, guess what we're going to do? This money thing that you know nothing about, that you don't understand. We're going to give you some of that because you don't know how to get it. So we're going to give you some of that, and then you come and use your talent to help us make more money. So you become our tool for us to generate even more money, because you don't know how to do it. You don't know how to use your talents for yourself. So it's very it's just interesting. All right, got some questions in here. Kay, what is up? Hola. ¿Qué tal? Got Alpha. What's up, Ace? I'm a huge fan. Watch every video. It's a lot of them out there, man. That's a lot of them. Alvin, it's only valuable when you use it. And I think it's using it in the maximized way. It's funny seeing Trump, who gave Apple a hard time about putting money in Ireland and having like not half a billion, maybe like half a trillion, some outrageous amount of money that they took from America and they're kind of putting it in Ireland. And, just like all these companies that are public companies and are using just an inkling of the tactics that wealthy individuals use. And it's funny to see that being talked about because it's like, dude, Trump knows that there are way worse things happening that wealthy individuals do and that wealthy private companies do and that his companies are doing. But they're not on the stock market, so they don't have to publicly announce it. So you can't just go to a report and read about it. So it's easy for him to say, oh yeah, like look at what these people are doing and da da da. And it's like, all right, like why don't we take a look at your financials? Why don't we take a look at your tax return? Like let's look at all of like the wealthy individuals that are doing like way more creative strategies. So it's putting the money to work, but then being very smart with it. And it's kind of one of those sad things where the middle class really could use a lot of the same tactics that are kind of some of the things that wealthy people are using and diversify. And, when you look at these net worths, like $1 billion and, what you don't see behind that is like, they're smart enough to know like, dude, I don't want that sitting in US dollars. Like I need this diversified and I need it maximized and working for me to generate the highest returns and to be really great tools. Like that money isn't just sitting somewhere. And it's funny, I think that because and I think the best example is like whether you have one axe or you have 10,000 axes, you should try to use that axe to the max. And I think that for a lot of folks that are middle class, it's more like, oh, like I only have one axe. Like I'm gonna just put that axe in the shed and not use it and break things with my hands. And literally, when I say break things with your hands, that's what you're doing. You're saying like instead of me trying to figure out how to use the tools, like my energy, my work, my life, all of that is less valuable. It's more important for me to put my brain and my energy into creating than it is for me to put the tool to work to create. And so people have more, and like that's one of those things that's just, when I think that anxiety is created by not being taught how money works, is that there's more anxiety about not leveraging our money. It's more anxiety about the idea of like, if I invest this money, I may lose that money than it is anxiety around if I invest my life, I'm going to lose like that portion of my life. And so we get more anxious to use our hands to break the wood than we do to use our money, because we think, oh man, like I can't take a chance on that because I don't know how to go and get more without using my hands. So that's something to consider. All right, let's see. Andrew, but yeah, that's awesome, Alvin. Andrew says, I have too many questions, but are you investing in deals in countries where your network is already expanded to? And how important is building a network for more opportunities in international deals? Yeah, it does help. I mean, but I think today with the internet, it's just like anything else. If you put a focus on starting to build those networks and build those relationships in some of these other locations, then I think it happens very, very quickly. And, it's kind of like my buddy who has done quite a few deals, and he's here and he's like, the big advantage that you have here is coming to another country from America. It's like at this point, because so few of us the reason that I love micro private equity is that there are very few people in the space. So, starting that 20 years ago, it's been really awesome to see so many folks come into the space. But, at that point, 20 years, like there was just nobody talking about it, let alone doing it. And so now when you come into these other countries, it's the same thing. And so, it's 170 countries, like all of these are other opportunities to get those really cool deals. And so it becomes very easy to build a network just because nobody else is doing it in these other countries. It's pretty cool. The other night I had dinner with an attorney that is in the pink house here, so basically the White House. So I have already 1 degree of separation from the president of Argentina. So that's pretty cool. But it doesn't take a lot. I think that again, it's just that I think the opportunity is that people don't do it. So yeah, I think that it is obviously it's work. So in any of this stuff, I never try to say, oh, all of this is easy. Just you go out and you do it. Like it is work. It's it's not a get rich quick or any of that. But I think the work has a higher ROI. And it's worth it because you get to put your tools to work in a space where you're going to get a really, really amazing ROI. Frank, what's up, Frank? Good morning to you. Actually, 1 o'clock here, more morning for you guys and on East Coast. KLG, what up? I may have missed it, but what countries and cities are your favorites internationally? That's a great question. So also hit me with a like, guys, as you pop in. It helps it get shared with other subscribers. So right now, I mean, obviously I've got 2 deals in Medellin, so that's very, very high on the list. And, I love it. There's a bunch of growth there. It's really incredible. And I wish I had got in earlier. A lot of these things, I'm looking back like, oh, like the opportunity was when everybody thought that Medellin was super dangerous, but it wasn't. I mean, obviously at one point it was, and you didn't want to be there then. And then the reality became that, oh, this is this huge opportunity. And so nobody wanted to be there. Nobody wanted to go there. And, it's a very tough place to make anything work. And so that was the huge opportunity. And now we're seeing, the cool thing is the hotel deal I did, that it's maybe a top 5, but it's a top 10 occupancy hotel in the city. And a lot of that was getting in a good location and being in the stream. And so, I mean, this is the crucial thing, guys. This is why like I talk about this, and it just becomes such a big deal is when a government or a city is doing things. Like governments deal on a whole nother level. In Argentina, they're paying just billions and billions of dollars just on the interest of what they've borrowed from the IMF. And I was talking to actually the young lady that I mentioned that works for the president here. And there is a huge opportunity when you're following somebody and figuring out what somebody's doing that's spending billions of dollars. So when somebody's spending billions of dollars and they can have a huge impact. And this is one of the downsides to the US is that the billions have already really been spent and trillions have been borrowed. So when I'm talking about, it's difficult to put it in like layman terms, but you basically have a situation like when in the video where I talk about the US being like a company. So you want to look at it like a company and look at the financials and understand, oh, okay, like there's not much upside here. Like there's not, like they've already borrowed trillions, they've invested trillions. They're not going to get another 20 trillion to invest. So, they're having to borrow just to pay the interest on the first trillion. So, like, where's the upside from here? You know what I mean? And it doesn't mean that it's worthless, but it's like, okay, like this is my GE. This is my GE. In fact, like GE's probably going to get smaller. It's not going to get bigger. Like everybody's biting at its heels at every turn. So when you look at a country where it's like, oh man, like they've got 10 billion borrowed and could easily double that and invest another 10 billion in the country, and that's gonna have this killer impact and double the GDP, or just so that's what you're looking for. And in that hotel deal, it had it's a great hotel, like, but it had very little to do with, oh man, and that's where this is where the focus is in the US, where it's like, I'm going to come up with this brilliant marketing strategy and convince people to come in and spend money and and everything's about you. Whereas, with the hotel deal, it's like, okay, like everything is coming into this direction. I'm going to put my money here, and then as it comes, it's just more like Monopoly. It's like, oh, here, like it literally is like Monopoly. It's like, okay, this is where people land a lot. I'm going to buy it and then I get a return. Like I don't have to be brilliant. I don't have to come up with some cutting edge marketing strategy and have 20 follow-ups with the right sales copy that psychologically gets into your head and you have to buy this product, blah, blah, blah. All of that, it becomes this different thing, which is a lot easier, I think. For the international deals, do you have to leverage credit due to the for the forex liability? So one of the things that is interesting for me that I look at is when you've got multiple countries, they're all moving in comparison to each other. And so if you've got a long-term strategy, it's not so much of, oh, like now this currency is weaker, so I'm losing money on that investment. It's more like, here are my trifecta. These are the 3 countries that I'm going to invest in, or here are the 4 or 5 countries that I'm going to invest in. And it just puts you, this is what I'm really trying to do, is give you guys like high level game. And this is going to be kind of a long-term project for me, because I think that the average person can use these strategies in their portfolio to just take things to another level. I also think that, man, just people aren't, it's the tool shed thing, man. Like people aren't working their money the way that they can, the way that they could, because they're so focused on working themselves. And I think that it's a mentality that we're taught to think. I think that we're taught to think like, oh, like, well, you go work. And it's a smart thing for the elite. If you saw a video I did a while back, like, where the whole education system comes from is that originally everybody was entrepreneurs, and Rockefeller, Carnegie, and Morgan created something called the Education Foundation. And the Education Foundation goal was not to educate you, but it started what is modern day education. The Education Foundation was to get people to show up on time, which is, that's, if you don't, if attendance, it doesn't matter. Like, which is, you think about this, like, what if a kid is brilliant and that kid can go and learn a million different things and show up on test day and they have all the knowledge, they learn on and da. Like, why do I need to have attendance as a thing? If you're saying this is the education and I need to learn it and I show you I learn it, who cares? Why do we have to eat lunch at the same time? Like, why? I'm not hungry right now, or maybe I'm going to get hungry later. Or I'm hungry earlier. Like, I'm a human. Why is this a set thing? And it was to answer an issue that Carnegie and Rockefeller were having in factories, where if you're an entrepreneur, you're like, yo, like I get my work done when I get it done. I'm gonna get my work done. But they in the factory, they need you to show up on time. Like they can't just, you can't just show up when you want to do your own work because you're in this particular spot in the factory. And you can't just say, oh, like I'm hungry. Like, and this is literally what they would deal with because they owned their own business, the average person. And sometimes it was just seasonal. It's like, okay, the farm isn't in season or whatever. I'm going to go and work in the factory for a little while. So, this person's like, yo, like, you're not going to tell me when to eat. Like, it's unless you've been brainwashed, as we have, like all of us have been brainwashed, unless you've been brainwashed, it is the most ridiculous concept ever that somebody's going to tell you when to use the bathroom and when to eat. Like it literally makes no sense in the world. You have to brainwash somebody to think like that. So you've been brainwashed to kind of go through those steps and then exchange your life for money. And so, when we're talking about Forex, when we're talking about even there's a lot of levels to it, but to get to like the crux of your question, essentially it doesn't matter is the short answer. And the reason it doesn't matter is that, if you've got a long-term strategy in a country, as it's going up and down, all it's going to do is create opportunities versus the other countries. So it might be that, for me right now, like one of the reasons, and it's great you asked that question, one of the reasons that I'm in Argentina is like, it's had a huge dive in the value of the peso here. So that means that I can bring even pesos from Colombia or pesos, pretty soon will be some pesos, dollars from the US, and it's going to go a lot further. So that's the interesting. Here's one of the other funny things to me, and then we'll go to some other questions. It's interesting to me when, with the 4-hour work week years ago, we started to see that, like, oh, there's this huge opportunity, this is 15 years ago, more. There's this huge opportunity for us to be able to take talent from another country, pay them this lower amount based on that economic arbitrage, and get a better ROI on that employee than we could an American employee. And so it's been interesting to me as I've started to do more of this stuff. It's like, man, why didn't more people, and this is, some of the training in our brains, why didn't more people think, wow, okay, if I can get a better ROI on the employees, these employees are getting just as good of education, which is a whole other thing. It's like, us paying what we pay for education in the US is literally like being separated from the rest of the world and saying, oh, well, here gold is $10,000 an ounce, but right next door, that same gold is $1,000 an ounce. And they'd say, oh, but we'll give you a loan for the 10,000. But anyways, so it's interesting to me that, you can hire this talent and we see you can get a really great ROI on talent. But at the same time, we don't go that next step and say, oh, like, I wonder what else I can get an ROI on. I wonder if I get a better ROI on real estate in this other country. I wonder if I can get a better ROI on their stock market in this other country. I want to get a better ROI by having some of my dollars be, so all of these things, it's funny or at least interesting that I think for years now, the wealthy is taking that next step up, which has been done years and years before that. It's like, we're just now getting to, oh, like, let's outsource. Like people are talking about, Nike outsourcing to Asia. And, at the beginning. So that's already been going on for years. But I think the real next step is, how do I get a better ROI on everything? It's not just about a better ROI on employees. Good morning, Frank. Thanks for jumping on. Let's see. This criteria. Okay, sorry if I missed it. Sorry I missed this. But, and this is Next Big Rush. Thanks for jumping on. I'm sorry. I missed real estate. Great. Yeah, this thing is moving, so I actually missed call. All right, I'm gonna go to real estate Drake, and then I'll get your album. So, real estate Drake, what up? What up? I'm here from Chattanooga. That is awesome. Thanks for jumping on. And I was told to connect with you. Awesome. Well, let's connect, man. Easiest way to hit me is on Instagram, Ace.Chapman. Feel free to shoot me connect and shoot me a message. And big ups to Chattown. Sounds like you're doing some real estate stuff there. I used to own a lot of real estate back in the day in Chat. Tell me a little bit about what areas you're in. I'm kind of curious. Alvin, what are the kind of people I need to talk to in the countries I would be investing in? This is excellent. So obviously, getting into most of the countries. So I'm going to be going to this in Buenos Aires next week. But most countries will have some kind of like expat group, expat community, or U.S. Community. Here, it sounds like it's very, very organized. I mean, it's run by like the ambassador, which is interesting. I think another part of this is I'm a big fan of capital cities. As opposed to cities that aren't the capital, because you got like an embassy there, you just got a lot of things that are moving there. You got people that have to come there for government official work. But this organization I'm going to go to next week is like run by the U.S. ambassador. There's some other really awesome members. So it's a club. And in this case, I'll pay. I think there may be a fee for me to join the club. I don't know. In Medellin, I joined a country club. There's a country club in Medellin that I paid to join, and it's really, really, just the movers, man. The movers. You gotta get connected. Like the cool thing is, it's the same thing you would do in the U.S. I haven't really done that much in the U.S., but it's what you would think, but I think it's cheaper and it's more valuable because you're a foreigner. And I think it would be the same even if you're a foreigner coming to the U.S., but it'd still be tougher. I think, one of the two greatest gifts that that America gives us that most people don't use enough is number one, passport. It's the greatest gift. They get us on education, getting people in debt, just so you know, the greatest asset from us to the US, or the greatest asset, the biggest holdings of assets in the US is student loans. So that's the most valuable asset that the US government has. So you wonder why you're on the track and why that's pushed so much. But for us, the greatest asset is passports, number one, and a brand of doing good business. Because in a lot of these countries, there's been corruption. They're trying to fight those issues. People like doing backhanded deals and those kind of things. And so we just have a brand of like, no, like, we're going to do things the right way. We're going to do things the legal way. And so going into a country club, I've been really well welcomed. Another funny thing, just random, is man, I didn't realize there were no Black people in Buenos Aires. Like I just didn't know. I guess they didn't have. There wasn't a slave trade here, and it's Italians were here and the Spanish were here, and so that's number one. It's just like man, like there are literally like no, like I just don't see Black people, which is interesting. But because man, like that's even in Thailand, like, even in Asia, there were some. In China, no, China's the craziest because they will just stare at you like okay, I may never see another Black person again, so I'm just gonna take you in. So it's so funny. One of my friends shared a picture the other day of like sitting on the train and like the whole train is just like looking at her, just like staring. I've been in the airport and had like a whole empty like little thing before you get on the plane, and they just come and just like sit in front of you for like rows. And they just sat in front of me. I was with a friend of mine that's from Australia who's a white dude. He's like, the world is going on? Like, what are they doing? I was like, dude, be Black here and you'll understand. They just like looking at you. So, little side. That's why I like doing lives. It's like, on the regular videos, it's like, all right, here's the points. I go through them, but these other things end up coming up. They're, are valuable. There may be some brothers out here who coming down. You won't be as surprised. But the other point of that though is like very welcoming. It's not like, oh, they've never seen a Black person and it's negative energy or anything like that. Just very, very positive energy. So, and the two places that I've done that as far as joining those kinds of clubs, just it's not that good old boys kind of thing. You know what I mean? So, for any of you folks that may not be a good old boy, have those kind of connections or whatever, like, that's a great opportunity. But yes, networking, meeting the business people, and then if you can, having some kind of connection to the government, I think is valuable. And some of it can be done online. They're like expat groups and all that. All right, we got like 9 more minutes before it got to bounce. Let's see if there's any really hey, so I just got to your question, Alpha. See, there's a reason this stuff comes up, man. Too much to get into yours, Big Rush. The current criteria I'm very open right now. Like I've done a lot of different deals, and so bottom line is it's from experience, but I wouldn't say just do anything. But like, I've done over 100 real estate deals, so I'm open to real estate. I've talked already about pros and cons of real estate in the US. I've done a lot of business deals, so obviously open to that. I've done a lot of internet deals, so obviously open to that. The idea with this is like you want to get experience, you want to start small, take risks that you can take. This is the unfortunate thing. The reason that I harped on the fact that we have no education around this stuff is that it sucks. Like, it sucks that even in an economics class, you literally learn nothing. I made the example last time. It really taught you true economics in college. Most people would immediately to get out of that college because they would understand like, oh, this makes no sense for me to take on this debt. So like we just know nothing. So you do have to go out there and learn it and, get mentors and find other people that are doing things and work with them. And then even then it's going to be risk. Alpha. Yeah, so this is the funny thing. We're scrolling down to your question. As a brother myself, do you feel it's more favorable to do PE internationally than here in the US? So if you're more willing and open, 100%. I mean, one of the craziest things for me is, this is very controversial. I'm going to end this on like a super controversial thing. I'm just personally a big fan of going places where I'm wanted. Like, Black people in America, even like just the Black Lives Matter, that kind of thing. Like, if I got to convince you that my life matters, I need to leave. I need to go somewhere else. Like, I want to be anywhere where I need a campaign where I got to convince you that my life matters. I need to get out of there. But yes, that's the short. I've got a lot of thoughts around that, but the short answer is yes. Let's see. Let's see. Anything worth chatting over? Yeah. So I've done a lot of internet deals. Really excited about internet deals in other countries. Jack Dorsey, Africa. Somebody brought up Africa. Jack Dorsey, who built Square and Twitter. He's going to Africa for 2 months to look for opportunity. I mean, like, Africa's the next big play. Like, there's a lot of opportunity. There's a lot of money. China's coming in, and we're missing out on a lot of opportunities again, because I've been to Africa. I've been to a few countries in Africa, and we're taught things that aren't reality. And it's really unfortunate. We miss out on opportunities because we just are taught things that aren't reality. Right. Cool. Hit me up, man. So I said it's going to connect on the FB, talk about your program for people who want to quit their job and start buying businesses. All right, Steve. So we do have a program, and it's not. Most of the people that join, they really have to hunt down. You guys see some testimonial stuff. It's like they talk about the fact that I had to contact Ace a few times. I had to find out another person that was connected to him, get in. It's not a big focus because we want to get really great, high quality people. I'm looking for people that are looking to do some big things, eventually build a fund. If I'm gonna, for me, as I said, I'm not out here trying to break wood with my hands. You know what I mean? I want to use every possible tool, and then I want to have some serious leverage because of that. And so, we have an amazing group of folks that have big visions. And so for me, if I'm going to train somebody, it needs to be somebody who's going to do some big things because I get to invest with that person. And so, we do have a program, and I have a guy who is a past student who helps me and runs it. And his name is Sam. So if you guys are interested, Sam Leslie, I'm going to put the email. You just shoot him an email. Dealmakers Institute.com. It's Sam at dealmakersinstitute.com. Very last one of these. KLG says, very true, Ace. We aren't marching anymore. Yeah, man. Hey, Sam, what's up, man? Yeah, man, the days of marching, it's time to let go. Let go and let God. All right, folks. Fun as always. Sam at dealmakersinstitute.com. Hit them up. Got a really amazing group, man. I'm very proud. This isn't let's go sell 1,000 courses. It's, hey, let's get a group of folks together, and together we're going to do some big things. You just don't need in this stuff. You don't need a bunch of people if you're really out there doing deals and making things happen. So we get to be selective. We don't chase people. We get to be very selective. We bring a lot to the table, whether it's ideas, talent, and then that network. One of the other things is, we don't want the people that are already in the network that are very high quality. You know, I was talking to one of the newest folks last night. You know, we had a guy who was in private equity from Goldman Sachs. You know, we've got a high level executive at Boeing. Like, I can't bring in the Joe entrepreneur who thinks he's going to make $1 million in a day. That's going to ruin the group. So really great people, you know, good attitudes, and you know, we work together. It's also that we invest in each other's deals. So the main reason I do this, you know, Sam does a lot of the heavy lifting, which is really awesome, as my partner in it. But the reason that I even still spend any time on this is to be able to invest in people's deals. And so, you know, we had, let's see, what does that mean? Oh, thanks for posting that, Alpha. So, you know, had a 20-something-year-old kid that, you know, we helped go out, raise the cash and all that to do a $750,000 deal. What's up, Joshua? Thanks for jumping on. I am in Buenos Aires. All right, folks. You love the controversy there, Sam. Yeah, I had to stop myself from going on a full rant. I don't want too much controversy, but you know, you can get behind the closed doors and you guys can find out some of my deeper concepts around some of those controversial things. All right, thanks so much. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday. Enjoyable, great questions as always. If I didn't get your question, put it in the comment. Once this video is listed, it'll delete all of the stuff here in the live chat, but you can put in the comments so that if people don't watch it on that live version, then I go back and I answer those questions in future videos. Thanks so much. Have a great one.